so we're still talking about functions. And we're going to start with some vocabulary. Now, where it says function notation and evaluating functions. So, f of x, so it's like f and then in parentheses x, and you read it like this. This is how you read it. F of x is just a fancy way of saying y equals. That's all it is. So just like we have our different names for x, we call it domain, and our name for y is the range. Now we have a name for y equals. Y equals represents f of x, which is the y value. Okay, so to evaluate a function, all you do is substitute the value of x in the equation. So you're going to be given an equation, and where you see x right here, okay, so just look up for a minute. So this x right here will have, it won't actually be an x, it'll be a number. So you're going to replace that number into the equation that they give you. Okay, and this is called function notation. It's just a different way of writing. It would be the same thing if I did this. If I said, okay, evaluate if x equals 2, and I give you this problem. Okay, and I say y equals 3x. And I'm asking you to substitute in 2 for x. You would say, okay, y equals 3 times 2, y equals 6. So instead of me saying x equals 2, I'm going to use function notation and say f of 2. And you would do the exact same process. So you would say, okay, 3 times 2. So when x is 2, y is 6. It's really the same thing. It's just looking at this a different way because we call this function notation. Okay, but you've been doing this before. You know how to substitute a number into an equation. It's the exact same thing. All right. So this is exactly telling me to take x. So where I see x here is asking me to replace x with 0. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to say, okay, negative 3 times 0 minus 7. So when x is 0, because that's really the x value that's in parentheses, then the y value, which is the answer that I get, would be negative 7. Okay, because this is actually 0 minus 7 is negative. Okay, then I'm going to do the next one. Same thing. I see this 2 here. So where I see x in the equation, I'm just going to replace it with 2. So negative 3 times 2 minus 7. So when x is 2, this is negative, y is negative 13. So you can really actually write them as coordinates. Okay, you can really write, because that's really what it means. When x is 0, y is negative 7. When x is 2, y is negative 13. So the answer you're getting is the y value. So let's do the last one. So this will be negative 3 times negative 5 minus 7. So that's a positive 15 minus 7. So what will that give us? 8. Very good. So the coordinate would be negative 5, 8. Okay, so you could actually, plot these as points. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So now we have a different equation. We have a different function. It says f of x equals 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Find the range. Range are your y's. If the domains are your x's. Okay, all vocabulary. But look, they give you actually 3 different values for x. Okay. All right, so here are my x values right here, -2, 0, and 3. So that means you really need to do this question how many times? Yeah, 3, because you have 3 different values for x, not just, 1. There are 3 different values for x they're asking you to do. So let's do the first value, which is -2. So notice here's an x here, here's an x here. So everywhere I see an x, I have to replace it with that -2. So I'm going to say 2, and then I'm going to replace it with -2 and square it, because that's what it says, x squared, minus 5 times -2 minus 3. Now, you can actually type all of this into the calculator just like this, 2 parentheses -2 squared minus 5, so you can get the right answer. I would suggest that you do that. Okay, so I'll wait till someone tell me what they have as a name. All right, so it looks like we're getting 15. So the coordinate would be -2 and 15. All right, I'm going to do one more. Let's do where f of 0, because that's an easy one to do. So I'm going to say 2 times 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 3. Well, obviously, these will just end up being 0, and I'll have -3. So my coordinate would be 0 and -3. Okay, my x and my y. All right, so all it is just substituting, but we're just using what we call function notation. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take a look at a graph. And based on what value they give us, if you notice in A and B, they're giving us the value for x right here. But in C and D, they're giving us the answer. So they're giving us the values for y. All right, so these are x's. So this is asking you to go on your x-axis to 3. So I'm going to go on the x-axis to 3. Here it is right here. And then I'm going to go up to this point, and I'm going to read the y value. So when x is 3, what is y? 4. Very good. And then I'm going to do the same thing for -2 for the x. So I'm going to go over here to -2. Here's -2. I'm going to read the y value. What is the y value? 1. Okay. Now this is different. So it's asking you a different question. They're asking you to find x if you know y is -6. So we're going to go, here's the y-axis here. We're going to go down to -6 on the y. And then what is the value of x? A 1. Very good. So you're going to say f of 1 equals -6. That's how you would write that. Now I'm going to go on the y-axis at -2, which is here. And then I'm going to go across on the x. So what is the value of x? -5. So you're going to say f of -5 equals -2. Okay, take a look and see if you have any questions on how I got those numbers. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for a graph. So let's say it's a continuous graph. Okay, it's not just coordinates. So this is saying go on the x-axis to 6. So we're going to go along the x-axis, and then we're going to go up to the line. And what am I reading for the y? 6. So y is 6. You just then, if you're at 6 right here, you go up to the line, you go over to the y, you get 6. Okay. Now I want to go at 0, and then I'm going to go up to the y, go up to the line. What is y? 2. Very good. Okay, now let's look at C. C says go on the y-axis to -4. Here's the y-axis at -4. And then I'm going to go down to the line. So when this is y at -4, sorry. I'm going to go on the y to -4, and then I'm going to go across over here to x. What is that? -9, so I'm going to say f of -9 equals -4. Then I'm going to go on the y to 0. So here's 0. Then I'm going to go along the x. So what is x when x when y is 0? What kind of 3? -3. Okay. All right. Any questions on how to read it from a graph? Okay, you just got to pay attention to what number they're giving you. Are they giving you x if it's in parentheses? And if it's after the equal sign, they are giving you the y value. Okay. All right. So let's move on to mapping. So I'm going to do one of each type. So we've done a graph where they're just coordinates. Now let's do a mapping and a table. Okay, then we'll be done with that. So it's very easy to follow a mapping. So here it says go where x is 4. All right, so I'm going to go where x is 4, which is right here, and it pairs up with what number? 3. Very easy to see on a map. Okay, I'm going to go where x is 5. Follow the arrow, 8. Okay, I'm going to go where y is 8, because now they're giving me y. And then go in reverse order, pairs up with what? 5. And then I'm going to go where y is 4, which is right here, and it goes to 6. Okay, and then the last one we'll do will be a table. So when f of 3, here it is right here, pairs up with a -0.5. When x is 1, y is 2.5. When y is 2.5, x is 1. And when y is 1, what is x? 2. Okay. Now, the bottom part here is in the form of a word problem. And I want you to know you're not going to always see f of x. You could see f of x. You could see h of x. All of these are function notations. So these are our most common letters that we use for function notation. However, notice they use a W. Okay, so if you see a letter and then parentheses x, that simply means function notation. It doesn't always have to be F for function. You might see some other letter. So in number 6, it says the function W of x equals to 250x. It represents the number of words you can read in X minutes. So how many words can you read in 8 minutes? So it's asking you to replace X with 8. Okay, you might want to write this down. So this is in the form of a word problem. Oh, sorry about that. Let me move this back. This is in the form of a word problem, but it's just basically, you're taking 250, multiplying it by 8. So how many words per minute will that be? 2,000, and we'll put W words per minute. Okay.